Good afternoon, Facebook friends. I was out in the Gulf of Mexico today, and it reminded me of an experience that I tied in with the first couple of verses of the second chapter of Hebrews. The second chapter of Hebrews says, "Therefore we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it. For since the message declared by angels proved to be reliable, and every transgression or disobedience received a just retribution, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation?" I especially want to go back to the part that we must pay much closer attention to what we've heard, lest we drift away from it. I was just out, and there are a lot of waves in the Gulf today, and they have a tendency to kind of carry you away. But my first pastorate was in Corpus Christi, Texas. Because I was a Midwesterner, not raised by water, and have had a lifelong love affair with sunshine and water, I would take Mondays off in those days. Someone in the church gave me a large tire inner tube, and at that time at South Padre Island, outside of Corpus Christi, Texas, you could park your car literally on the beach. And I would get my chair out, and I would get my cooler, and I'd literally spend the entire day at the beach. And I remember one day I had gotten in my inner tube and I was out on the waves and I was having a grand time. And then I don't know how long of a time period had elapsed, but I decided to look up toward the shore. And when I looked up, I didn't see my chair, I didn't see my car, I didn't see any of my belongings. And I became quite concerned. I thought, someone has come while I'm out here in the Gulf of Mexico. This would have been about 1982. I'm out here in the Gulf of Mexico trying to relax and have a good day, and someone has come and they've not only stolen my car, they've stolen my chair, they've stolen my cooler, they've stolen my flip-flops, they've taken everything. And I don't know what happened, but I looked way down the beach in the distance, and there was a little brown speck on the horizon that was actually my car and my belongings. While I was out there on the Gulf of Mexico in the inner tube, just sunbathing and enjoying the relaxing waves, imperceptibly, I did not even notice it, but I had drifted an entire football field away from where I started. I didn't intend to drift. I couldn't tell that I was drifting until I got up and looked where I was supposed to be, and I was a long way there. The writer of Hebrews gives us the same warning. No one gets up in the morning and says, I'm going to drift away from God. I'm going to drift away from my values. I'm going to drift away from faith. I'm going to drift away from my family and all of the things I hold dear. But then one day you wake up and you realize, because you weren't paying any attention, you have just drifted along with the waves of life. And it's interesting that this actually comes to us in the book of Hebrews. We should pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away. If you don't, it's not just enough to read the word. It's not just enough to say, I love Jesus. It's not just enough to go to church and to tithe and to participate and volunteer and do all kinds of wonderful things that are really neat and wonderful. What's really important is to make sure that what we say we believe, that we're paying careful attention. Are you guarding your heart? Are you guarding your mind? Are you allowing things in that desensitize you to spiritual things? It's not just enough to say something. Our lifestyle has to reflect it. I learned a powerful lesson back in 1982 in the Gulf of Mexico off of South Padre Island while I was pastoring in Corpus Christi, that drifting is a real possibility if you don't pay attention to where you are and what you're doing. Fast forward to today, to 2019. Drifting in your faith and your values and your beliefs is a very powerful tool. I'm afraid a lot of folks are drifting because politics and money and position and political intrigue and infighting and everything else has gotten a hold of our hearts and minds. And if we are not careful, yes, you and me, if we're not careful, we're going to drift away. And then it goes on to say 2 verses later, how shall we escape if we neglect such a great salvation? This is my plea today to you, to make sure you're not drifting along and you're not paying attention, but get grounded and stay grounded on the solid rock. You'll be glad you did. So friends, enjoy the water, and it's all right to drift with the waves, but it's a dangerous thing to drift with the waves of time in our world. Let's pay close attention to where we are spiritually and our service for God and His kingdom, and all of the people around us who need the message and who need our love and who need our witness, testimony, friendship, and compassion. Go and have a great and blessed day, and get into church tomorrow and have a great Lord's Day. This is Dr. Ron Blake saying, have a great day.